Hello, everyone. My name's Duncan White. I'm the group editor with the International Fire and Safety Journal, and I'm delighted today to be joined by the Antarctic Fire Angels. Many of you will know that the Angels are off on their expedition later in the year, and today I've got Georgina, Gilbert, and Rebecca Openshaw Rowe joining me. George, Bex, hello. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, good. Thank you.
Excellent. It's great to finally speak to you face to face. We've been chatting for years, I suppose, really, from when it first became a reality and the Antarctic Fire Angels was off and running, or off and skiing, I think we should probably say. But yeah, we're delighted to be able to support you and to follow your journey through the International Fire and Safety Journal. So I'm going to come to you first, George, in relation to how did this idea come about? How did you go from being firefighters working the front line to becoming Antarctic Fire Angels?
It all started about 4 years ago, and we were in the Women in the Fire Service conference in the College Morton on the Marsh. And I was sat at the back of the room, and the keynote speaker came on. And it was a lady called Sophie, and from the British Army, and she was part of the Ice Maidens that went out and did an expedition on Antarctica. And she started talking, and she introduced herself and everything, and then she started putting this just amazing imagery on the screen behind her, and she was talking through each image with such passion and this enthusiasm to pass on this information, and it gave me goosebumps there and then. I was completely captivated by what she was saying. So I approached her later on and then said, look, is this something that a bunch of firefighters can do with absolutely zero experience, skiing or anything, snow and ice or anything like that? And there's something that the average person or woman can do. And she was like, yes, absolutely. And then from that moment on, I really believed in what she was saying about women supporting women. And she said, here's my number. I mean, I could have been absolutely anybody, Here's my number. Get in touch. We'll meet up. I'll give you all the contacts that I have to get the ball rolling with it. It'll take about, I think it took them 5 years from start to finish to completion. So obviously, because they started from a bit more scratch than us because they didn't have the contacts. So it's taken us 4 years. And yeah, I got in touch with all the people that she put me in touch with, namely ALE, which is Antarctic Logistics and Expeditions. And so initially got in contact with them. And then I thought, right, okay, need to start forming a team. How am I going to do that? Because there's no money. There wasn't, you couldn't tap into a pot of money and just go, we're going to run a recruitment for the team or anything. So literally just reached out to who, what, how, why, and ever, and everybody in between in fire service circles. And then that's basically how the team was formed. We didn't know anything about each other. Specifically, Bex and I, although we're both from Wales, we've never met before. And both from South Wales as well. And because Bex is obviously in London and things, and I'm in South Wales. And so the irony being now is that the two South Wales people are doing it, and we don't live that far. We don't work that far from each other. I've recently just moved. But so, and that's how it all started, really, got off the ground. And from then on, it was absolutely crazy bonkers, running a hill all the way, learning how to do social media, because none of us were social media gurus or anything like that. Learning how to do social media, learning how to write sponsorship emails, which, by the way, there is no formula for that. It's pure luck. And and everything in between.
It's certainly been a roller coaster, and the inspiration that you're providing to break that stereotypical image that people have got of females and female firefighters. I remember back in 2003 when I acquired my my disability and had to fight to remain in the fire service, and then become the first fully operational flexible duty officer wearing hearing aids. And it was from that I set up the National Disabled Fire Association to break that Clinton card stereotypical firefighter calendar that you see year in, year out. And so what you guys are doing for females and that all inclusiveness of females within all walks of life, not just the fire service. And we're seeing the fire service now slowly coming up to speed with everything. Still a long way to go, and you guys are at the front of that. Bex, I'm going to bring you in. We've heard from George about the inspiration and how it all started. So when did you become hooked, and when were you brought in as an angel?
So I was actually at the same WFS conference as George that year. So I listened to that same talk, but I didn't know George at the time. We'd never met. So I knew nothing about her plans at the time. And then when I was in London Fire Brigade at the time, and one of the girls that a friend of George's was at the same conference, and she was kind of George had put this idea to her as well, so she was part of the instigation. And I was on an adventure group basically with quite a few other women in the London Fire Service, and it was put on the group, does anyone fancy doing an expedition to the Antarctic? We've got this project and challenge that we're looking at doing, you know, is anyone up for it? And I saw that and I just thought, wow, this looks amazing. So I was straight onto the group. Yeah, I'm really interested. You know, what do I have to do? How does it all work, etc., etc. And then that was basically my in. And then along with myself and a couple others from London, it kind of went from there. At the time, I don't think I knew what I was getting myself in for entirely. And so 4 years later, it's been a full-time job along with our operational full-time job, and some, I would say, as well. But yeah, that's kind of how I got I wouldn't say dragged into it because I volunteered, but got sort of immersed into this whole experience. And it's been brilliant, don't get me wrong. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but brilliant things along the way. And like George said, we've learned so much in this last 4 years, not just about polar travel and expedition and everything that goes with that, but you know, the other things like fundraising, social media. We've done so many schools activations and engagements, as well as doing keynote speaking in big companies. We've spoken to the National Fire Chiefs Council and all of the chiefs in the whole country. You know, the rooms we've been able to go into and people we've been able to speak to through doing this whole project, you know, has been amazing and a massive experience for all of us, I think. And you know, if we hadn't started this, we would never have been, you know, doing any of the things that we've done. So it obviously the expedition is kind of the big attention grabber and the big thing that we're doing. But I would say all of the work that we've done and everything that we've been experiencing those last 4 years has been invaluable and just as amazing as you know what we're going off to do in November, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think what. Just going back to what George said about learning as you go and the way that you've dealt with social media, the publicity of it has been excellent, and the use of the various platforms. What is quite interesting is that my leadership piece in the this September issue of IFSJ looks at chances and opportunities, and it talks about that you can. I look at my 30 years. I joined very stereotypically in the beginning to drive big red lorries and wear breathing apparatus. Soon realised that there's a lot more to it, and I soon became very bored, and so looked for other opportunities and other chances, and from that, the sky was the limit, really. And you guys have done the same. You can sit back and do 224 or whatever shift pattern you're doing, or you can get out there and take out of the fire service what you want to take out of it. And I always remember in Richard Branson's book, he talks about if somebody offers you something and you don't know how to do it, then take the opportunity, then learn. And I think that is the whole point. You guys have taken the opportunity. You didn't know what you were in for, but you've certainly learned on the way. Those skills are going to be a credit to you, and also they're going to be testament to what you're doing now, what you've achieved so far, and what's going to start in November. The Bex, you touched on the work with the schools and the outreach. That is going to form a big part of the legacy. George, tell us a bit about what is planned post-trip.
So post-trip, we're really excited about it. As Bex mentioned, Antarctica is the tiny bit of it, really. It's what we do before and after is the most important part of it. So the legacy, we're calling it like a legacy / foundation at the moment because we don't know how to legally set it up as yet, but we're chatting to people about it. But the crux of it is that we offer young girls, namely fire cadets, and we're also working with Girl Guiding as well. So Girl Guiding, just to add, are doing a challenge badge for us, Antarctic Fire Angel challenge badge for us, which is super exciting. So young girls who want to challenge themselves, maybe struggle with their self-confidence and things like that. So what they'll do is that the units that they're within, either cadets and then broadening further afield, they'll get nominated, and then we'll have a little interview session process with them. And then the successful young ladies then will be put on like a 3-month program. And we can interact with them, whether that's in person or virtually. And then moving forward through that 3-month program, we build them into the last mini expedition for them at the end of the 3 months, either Norway or Sweden, and where they will go out on a week-long expedition. And they will learn basically how to make decisions in quite an extreme environment. I mean, to us adults, it's a very safe environment, and because we know exactly where we are, what we're doing, and et cetera, et cetera. But to them, they will feel like they're in the middle of nowhere, and they are 100% reliant. There's no mobile phone reception, nothing like that. So they are totally reliant on their own ability to make those decisions. And then through that, they build self-confidence and things. And as we know, I mentioned it's going to be all girls. It's because just through what I've been involved with recruitment, women do and act a lot differently, a lot more different in a group of women as they do in a group of men. In a group of men, they will automatically put themselves to the back and will be the last to do things. Whereas in a group of women, it's very much sharing. And everybody within that group want to help and share, as opposed to dominate and try to be the best and the first at it or anything like that. So it sounds like a bit of a sweeping statement, I know, but that there's sort of easily high 90% of how that went each time. So, and at the end of it, then they pop out the other end, and we have a little celebration, and give out certificates and all lovely things like that. And hopefully, what they'll take away from that experience will stay with them for the rest of their lives. It'll be such a unique experience and such an opportunity for them to build on their characters and their personality and their self-esteem and their ability to make decisions and teamwork as well. So they won't get anywhere unless they work as a team. And they'll find it much more difficult unless they work as a team. So we're setting them up to be really confident young women in what is still today's society, a male-dominated society, whether that be in the fire service or engineering, STEM, and all of those things as well. So hopefully they'll come out of it feeling like, the world is their oyster.
Yeah, exactly. They'll come out of that feeling $1 million, I'm sure. So I suppose the next question is, so what's the legacy going to be called?
Well, we're toying with a few ideas. We came out with we were going to drop Antarctic and go for Fire Angel Foundation. The word foundation brings a different set of responsibilities if you call yourself a foundation. So the foundation or legacy or something like that. But we need to work through the legal terms of it first before we can completely. We want to call it Fire Angel Foundation because the irony is that the acronym is FAF. So we want to defaff, so yes, that's the irony really. So that's what we're aiming for, but we really do need to sort of iron out all the legalities around it really.
It's not easy making sure you cross the T's and dot the I's, especially when you're working to the rules and regulations of the Charity Commission and other government bodies. So in terms of funding of that long-term legacy, have you got people lined up ready to help you, or is it something you're still looking for some serious input of investment from within the industry?
Always looking for serious investment within the industry, without a shadow of a doubt. And it's a way of some of the big players to really invest in the future of what a fire service looks like. We want to strive for 50-50 and gender balance, and it's a really, really good way for them to invest in an area that will hopefully accelerate us towards that 50-50 in a very organic, holistic kind of way. I mean, we don't want to force people into things. We don't want to force people into the fire service, for example. We want it to happen quite organically and naturally. We would never want anybody to ever say to anybody else, you only got this job because, I had that when I joined, you only got this job because you're a woman. So we don't want that to happen. But it's a really good way for companies to invest in the future of the fire service, definitely.
And yes, I totally agree. And that is certainly something that we will continue to badger away for you. But I think also we're in a position where the National Fire Chiefs Council should be looking at this with wide open eyes and saying that what you guys are doing in terms of looking at that 50-50 balance, the way that you're empowering and also inspiring the next generation of female firefighters is a testament to you both. And we've got to be in at the start, and we've got to be there at the point when the kids are talking to the careers people at the early stages, not just as they're leaving. I wrote recently about fire engineers. Fire engineers are a dying breed. And the only way we're going to get fire engineers back in is by going out and telling kids what a fire engineer does and explain how exciting it is and how diverse. And it's exactly the same with females. It's the same with people living with or affected by disability as well, that they are not excluded anymore from undertaking fully operational roles. You look at the likes of Tim Hoy in London, who fought for years with diabetes, and we've made huge strides in relation to hearing impaired. So by keeping on, by knocking the door, and I found out a long time ago that if they didn't answer the front door, then go around the back and kick the back door, because they'll only ignore you for so long. The Girl Guides badge, that's going to be a huge legacy in itself. I made a note of that as you were talking there. That's certainly going to be a lasting reminder of everything you did. And I don't think that Fire Angels is going to go away. It's going to be a brand that's going to live long within the fire service, and quite rightly so. Bex, I'm going to bring you back in to just give me 3 things that you are excited about and 3 things you're nervous about with the trip coming around the corner in November.
Excited for actually being on Antarctica. I think it's not a place that everyone gets to go to, so to have that opportunity is going to be amazing. And just to when we get off the plane and we stand on the ice and just just to see the vastness and everything, I think, because obviously we've watched documentaries, I've read books and looked at pictures, but to actually be there, it's going to be crazy. So really excited about that. Really excited for the whole journey. I think the expedition as well. It is the unknown for both of us. We can do all the training in the world, but we've never been there, so it's quite exciting for the unknown. And excited just to finally, we're finally there. We're only 2.5 months away, so that's exciting in itself, I think. And then things that are apprehensive about is definitely on the flip side is the unknown. So we're going somewhere we've never been. What we think we know what we might face, but we don't know what we're going to face. So the reality of that, I think my big worry is probably injury or illness that might end the expedition early on. But I think that's probably a worry for everyone that does an expedition. And then I suppose the other thing probably is obviously being away from home for so long and missing family, friends and the dogs. I think that will be, something that both me and George will struggle. I think it'll probably, the worst time will be when we say goodbye, and leave, get to the airport and then we're leaving. I think that would be the worst time. And then once we're gone and our heads are then in expedition mode and we're kind of focused on what we're doing, I think you get used to being away, don't you? But that initial goodbye, I think I'm kind of dreading a little bit, I'd say.
And I think that's only to be expected. You talked about the fear of the unknown. I think both of you do that on a daily basis. How often do you get in the front of a truck and go to a job you don't know what you're going to?
Yeah.
And half the time when you do know what you're going to, it never turns out the way you expected it to. So the training that you've both done through your fire service careers are certainly going to stand you both in good stead. I'm just looking now at this period between now and the expedition, and I see that you're both going to be at the Emergency Services Show. The International Fire Safety Journal will also be at the Emergency Services Show. We're a proud media partner of the event. And I would urge everybody listening to this to take the opportunity to come to the show, broaden your horizons, look at the innovation that's taking place within the industry, and you'll also get to meet some very key people, including myself, Georgina and Rebecca. And I think that what I want to look at doing, and the challenge I'm going to put down to the industry, is that by the time the Angels lead the Emergency Services Show, we want to see a good foundation in place for the legacy, whatever that may turn out to be called. But there's no reason, and National Fire Chiefs Council, we've got some key females on there now, and we really need to start getting them to get their peers to stand up and realise that there are different ways of engagement, and by making things different and mixing it up a little bit creates a lot of interest. And just by listening to you both this morning is certainly garnered my interest, and you've got my commitment and that of IFSJ that will be with you every step of the way, both on the ice and when you get back, at whatever we can do to keep things moving. So all that's left for me to say is, George and Bex, the very, very best of luck to you both. Your preparation has been exemplary. The photographs and the journals that you've been writing have been a pleasure to follow. Anybody wanting to know more can visit the website at antarcticfireangels.co.uk. There's a huge amount of information on there. Or contact myself or IFSJ, and we can put you in touch with the Angels to ensure that you're knowing the best, and when you make your investment, you know exactly where it's going to go. So on that note, I'm Duncan White, Group Editor, International Fire and Safety Journal. This podcast has been brought to you by the IFSJ Fire and Safety Leaders Convention. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you very much, Duncan.
Thanks, Duncan.